Thank you, Mr. Chairman. May I start by thanking Ambassador Diaz and his team for inviting me here. It's a great pleasure to be here and to be presenting these ideas. And I start, as all Muslims do, with A'udhu Billahi Minash Shaitanir Rajeem, Bismillahir Rahmanir Rahim. I begin in the name of Allah, the Beneficent, the Merciful. You know, this whole business of the environment, it could be said, arguably, that this is, in terms of creation time, this is a matter that we have created for ourselves only, in a sense, yesterday. I think this whole thing began about 300 years ago with the Industrial Revolution. And also the time when the secular world began to seep into the psyche of the faith world. And it's a very recent thing. So, speaking for myself, I had two bridges to cross. Like most of us, most of you, we grew up in two worlds. I grew up in Sri Lanka as born into a traditional Muslim family. And I was sent to Wesley College. And we had an education which was secular. Okay, Christians taught us, but it was secular. We went home and did the Quran. So we grew up in two different worlds. And this is not unusual. Having said that, I have to tell you that the chairman warned me that I'm only given 20 minutes. So I have to curb the instinct to extemporize and talk in the sound bites that I have designed for you. So first of all, I'm going to talk about a quick run through about how I myself am dealing with the secular element of my life. So the first bridge. I asked the question, can the thinking that produced the problem produce the solutions? And the drive for universal prosperity is based on two ideas, progress and development. I have come to the conclusion that development plus progress equals destruction plus pollution. And we have the evidence of this in the red sludge in Hungary and the black sludge in the Gulf of Mexico. You can conclude from that mass production produces mass pollution. The next slide, please. The problem. It isn't as if people, beginning with Rachel Carson, of course, in 1962, who wrote Silent Spring, as if people were ignorant of these issues. I'll run through quickly the Brundtland Report in 1987, the 2005 the Millennium Ecosystem Assessment. 60% of the world's ecosystem services have been degraded. And then we come to the Intergovernmental Panel on Climate Change, and they're talking about climate change being abrupt and irreversible. So we are living in sort of dangerous times. And the next item we go to is another United Nations organization, and the conundrum, in direct contradiction to what the UN Global Environmental Outlook was saying, that human beings were living beyond their means. The UN Development Policy Analysis Division warns us that there is a need for aggressive and coordinated expansionary policies. So there is a contradiction in one of the major organizations that leads our thinking, that leads the world. The one is saying we have to conserve because times are dangerous. Another is saying we have to move on and develop in order to keep the economy stimulated and also to bring prosperity to the people. So what I'm saying to you is there is an inherent contradiction that we have to deal with in our everyday lives, faith people and non-faith people. And it's also interesting for me that the challenge also is coming from secular thinkers. And we have much to learn from the way they put across these ideas. Edward Wilson, the Harvard biologist, said the human species is an environmental abnormality. And he added, he was writing in the New York Times in an article in 1993, he asked a question, is humanity suicidal? He also suggested in this article that intelligence has a tendency to extinguish itself. What other species would destroy itself within a supposedly rational framework that justifies such actions? Michael Boulter, a British paleontologist turned evolutionary biologist, says in his book, Extinction, Evolution, and End of Mankind, he says, our power to damage has grown to make our aggression terminal, not just dangerous. And Alvin Toffler, writing in the 1960s, the futurist, says, not even the most brilliant scientists alive today know where science is taking us. And Martin Heidegger, the existential philosopher, talked about technology. In an article on the problem with technology, he says, humans are reduced to a standing reserve for technology. Technology does not serve the human beings. We've served technology. If you don't believe him, try throwing your cell phones out of the window. No, don't do that. You'll have the Italian government after us. Just put them away in your drawers and don't use them for a couple of days and see what happens. We can't do with it. We can't do without it. We can't do without our telephones. He wasn't talking about the material aspects of technology. He was talking about something deeper. Gestalt, if my German is correct, in English it's enframing, that we are somehow, there is a conditioning that links us to this technology, which may not be retrievable, and that's dangerous. There was another bit of reading that I've done in a book called Tradition, Modernity and Environment in the United Arab Emirates. I've always wondered, I saw a photograph some time ago about a camel in a pickup truck. Somebody's driving a camel sitting in a pickup truck. Now I began to ask questions about this. Why? So she's come to the conclusion that the camel, after being the brother of the Bedouin in the desert for millennia, has been objectified from being part of that person, part of that family. The camel has turned into an object. You see, and this is the problem.